Do you ever find yourself getting frustrated during the painting process? Like you need to change your whole color scheme? Well, then you definitely need to follow this step that I'm going to demonstrate in today's video. Welcome to my channel. My name is Kristina Moyer and I'm an artist specializing in acrylic painting. So if that's something you'd be interested in following, whether that's tips about painting for your own skills or just inspiration and interest in looking at my journey as an artist, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Okay, let's get on with today's content because this important step is going to help you and it's going to eliminate frustration. We all want to save time. We all want to have a more enjoyable painting experience. What is it? Swatching. Get your paint and swatch it on a similar material, or just if you're just looking for colors, get it swatched out in your sketchbook. Swatching, choosing your color scheme before you actually bring it onto your canvas. Okay, so before I demonstrate, I'm sure you want to know how this is going to help you before you spend time swatching, because hey, that takes time. So how's that going to save me time? Well, if you think about it, imagine this large piece behind me, which I'm finally finished, by the way. It's signed. Imagine getting to a point where, let's say you're painting the whole flower, and then you start painting the background, the leaves. And as you get to that point where you're painting the leaves, perhaps you recognize that, oh no, I've chosen the wrong color, or now I have to redo this whole section. Well, just imagine how much time that's going to take you rather than planning ahead of time and already figuring out those little questions you have to ask yourself. Then you don't have to ask once you get to the painting stage. And you can just enjoy it. You already know the recipe of how to create your painting. You're just doing it and having fun. You can listen to a podcast, you can listen to an audiobook, listen to some music, and just enjoy the process. Another little tidbit is sometimes, something that happens to me sometimes is I forget that some of my paints are a little bit more transparent and some are opaque. And so if I swatch beforehand, then I know I'm going to have more success in mixing my colors, knowing that, okay, wait, this is a little more transparent, this one is more opaque, how they're going to mix together so I don't waste paints either. That's saving you money. Time, money, frustration. It sounds amazing, right? Well, let's do it. Let's do some swatching for a piece that I'm about to work on. Okay, so look at your reference image and then select paints you think will work for the painting. I mean, we're not going to throw in some random colors. We're going to try and get the right colors from what we see and then work with those to create our little swatches. So I've got all these different colors that I think will work and we'll try swatching with them. I'm going to start with raw sienna to create a little background so that I'm working with a similar background that I already have on my painting that you can see kind of above there. Is my little 8x10 painting. So this is raw sienna and I'm trying to water it down a little bit. Let it dry. While you're letting it dry, get other paints onto your palette. So I'm getting all the paints onto my palette in whatever makes sense to you kind of way. I kind of go dark to light and all of that. So now that that's dry, I'm going to take a little 1/2-inch square brush, flat brush, and I'm going to paint a little swatch. So just taking the pure color and painting a little square. You can make it a big square if you want, or a line, whatever. You want it to be visible. And then water it down and make another little swatch next to it so that you know, okay, this is what it looks like, just pure paint, and then this is what it looks like, watered down. So that you can decide whatever works best while you're painting. This is gonna be prepared for when you're working. This is going to be something you can refer to. If you want to make reference to it in the future and not just for this painting, or you have similar colors, it's a really good idea to make some notes. What is the brand you're using? Maybe you have multiple raw siennas of different brands. They might act differently. So it's kind of good to write down what they are so that you can use this for future reference, not just for this particular piece. Because when I'm working on a painting, often I'll have all those paint colors set aside that I'm using for the piece anyways. But if you want to use it for the future, it'll save you even more time because you'll already have done some of this work previously. So I'm just going to go along with all of my colors and make it that much easier by giving yourself a little legend. I have created a legend for one of my brands so I don't have to write it out every single time. I can just go AL. Oh, that's Artist Loft. Okay, wonderful. So then just keep going through all of the colors. And again, just pure color and then adding water. So you can see why I put it on top of that raw sienna by demonstrating this yellow ochre right on the page on its own versus mixed on top of that raw sienna. Makes a huge difference for whether that color is going to look good on its own. And then I can, just look at things a little bit more critically to what makes sense for the painting. This is a great first step, but what's coming up is going to be even more helpful. So make sure you stick around to see what that is. Question for you. What is the most frustrating part of the painting process for you? Let me know in the comments so we can have a discussion about this. And so maybe I can make content geared towards answering this. But for me, this sometimes is a sticking point that could be easily resolved. So let's help each other have more joy in painting. Okay, so next up, I'm painting a black square, a big black square. You could paint it even bigger. You can paint a different color. But because of my particular piece, how I have, this animal that's quite dark and then these hairs that are different colors, it makes the most sense for me to paint this black square first. So I'm going to paint this black square, and now I'm going to switch over to my 1/4 inch angle brush to do some little detailing in there. That's what I like to use for the hair, unless it's really small, then I'll use a script liner. So let's just try putting some paint on top of the black. Well, it's not that visible. Just the pure color, just a bit of blue, a bit of purple. It's not really showing up. So if we add a little white, we'll see what we can do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make notes when I'm mixing these colors. Just like a recipe, if you just make something without writing down your notes, how are you going to know how to make that again? Okay, so seems like it could be a little bit of work right now, but in the long run, you can use this for not just this painting. You can use it for any future painting, multiple pieces that you're working on to save you time and that, like I said, frustration. And I don't know about you, but paint is not cheap. And so I don't want to waste my paint. I hate wasting paint. So labeling each color with a number or a letter is going to help notify myself like what that recipe is without having to rewrite the colors a million times. So then I could do lots of different mixes. Again, saving you some time there, right? So I'm going to make different blends with different hues that I see in the picture. Yeah, different tones too. And mix them together, put them on top of what I'm actually going to be putting them on top of, which is black, in the painting, and see if that's worth it or if I need to leave some spaces blank to complete that. So you can see some brighter colors come when I mix that 4, 2, and 5 together versus the 2, 3, 5. So these are giving me some variations that will really help. Maybe I want to start with that 2, 3, 5 to get a nice, starter blend that's not as bold, makes it a bit easier to, if you're going to make any mistakes. So I'm going to try some various colors, get into some browns, get into some blues, and I'm even going to add, okay, what happens if I just throw one color on there, like a 4, so that cobalt blue. What does that look like? Pulled it across and right off that square and then wrote the number so that I have the tools I need to succeed in my painting. So I'm super excited. Now that I have all this done, by the way, I'm really excited to get working on my painting because I know I'm going to have a lot more fun and ease knowing that, hey, I know what colors I need, and I could always do more if I didn't quite do enough blends here for what I really need. So let's see what this one looks like on top of the black. So you can see there's quite a bit of black still showing through underneath, even with kind of 2 wet layers. But it's good to just give it a try too and see what happens with it. And it's, you know, you're experimenting. This is experimenting, we're documenting. And so, you know, there's areas like the nose, like, do I want to paint black over that first? Or maybe I'll just leave that empty. So this is, in doing this process, I'm going to find out whether it's worth it and what's going to be the best outcome. So I'm working on some browns. I want some kind of reddish browns. And so I'm mixing a few colors to see what will work. Mixed a little white in there, and you can really see the difference it makes for really standing out versus just creating a bit of a tint in the tone of that black. So it just depends on what you are looking for and what your needs are for your piece. But overall, the other thing you can do is you can create multiple rows. You know, I have the first layer is just one layer of one paint. You can make multiple layers. You could start creating a whole chart of, you know, when you mix black with this color or white with this color or that kind of thing. You can create a whole blend to really help you prepare for painting, which, look at that piece. I'm ready to go, and I'm excited. I'm excited to work on this piece, and I feel ready. Thank you so much for joining me in today's video. If you had any value, will you give me a thumbs up? And don't forget to subscribe if you want to enjoy more of this content, more of my face, my art. I wish you all happy painting.